What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Connecting Creators podcast. And today we have a very special guest. We have celebrity chef Bryan-David Scott, also known as the Coffee Chef. He's most known for working with the Oscars, Academy Awards, Steve Aoki, and from working in New York together a year ago to being in Vegas today and having experienced a variety of the food that you've cooked, I can with confidence say that you're the best chef that I've ever worked with and ever met.
Wow. I got to tell you, man, I've been in media for a long time. Thank you for a killer intro. And, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to be here. We just had an amazing meal, some fresh salmon.
That was a badass. So tonight we did a Aoki straight from the coast of Hawaii.
Yeah.
And, I just got to give a special shout out, Santa Monica Seafood Company, who've been backing me since I came into Las Vegas. My particular rep is Steven, and that guy's amazing. His knowledge of seafood, his passion for making sure that I and other great chefs in this town have the very freshest caught seafood.
Yeah.
It's been inspiring because they get who I am as a person. You guys know, you've been with me on tour in New York. You guys have, here you are at my home in Las Vegas. And you know that, while I'm a genuinely, I do my best to be a down-home kind of guy, man, when it comes to offering the very best, I'm a real, I will not compromise. It's either the very best or I don't put my name behind it. So, yeah.
Yep.
So I just want to say a very special thank you. And got to give a special shout-out to all of our veterans out there and to our first responders. They hold a very special place in my heart. I know that we are where we are because they're on a wall right now, or they're in the air, or they're on the ground somewhere, making sure that we're safe. So very special thank you to all of our military guys and all of our first responders. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I want to get into an overview question, high-level question of just what does it mean to be a luxury coffee chef or a celebrity chef?
Sure.
Like, how is that different from, like, the people watching? How's that different from just catering an event?
Well, in all honesty, I feel the only way that you can answer that is to experience what I do. The reality is, guys, people can watch us on camera. They can see me at one of the events surrounding the Oscars, the Primetime Emmys, or the Grammys. They can hear about it. They can hear other people's testimonies. But once you really encounter me and you get to experience who I am, my personal touch, my heart, putting a menu together, preparing that food, that's when you understand the caliber and what really differentiates who I am as a person. Because when you get me, you're not just getting the chef part of me. You're getting Bryan-David Scott, the husband, the dad. You're getting me as a crazy, like insanely passionate chef, luxury coffee specialist. And so I would say that is really the primary differentiator, is the insane passion. You guys might remember a short while ago, there was a thing among chefs kind of going around Facebook and Instagram talking about to be a great chef, you have to be part scientist, you have to be, part grandmother because you need to make sure you're taking care of it. And they go into this whole thing about what makes a great chef. And while that's true, man, I think what really makes a chef a great chef, worthy of being celebrity chef, which means you're just more involved in media, but also who your clientele is. Because here's the reality. If you call yourself a celebrity chef, but you don't have any celebrities that you're hanging out with and you're in their homes and on set with them, you're not a celebrity chef. I'm one of these guys. I'm with Gordon Ramsay. I never asked to be a celebrity chef. I didn't say, hey, pick me, pick me. I simply got invited because of who I am by other great organizations. The James Beard Group inviting me to join them on my first James Beard Celebrity Chef Tour. So showing up and putting my heart into it and learning from the other chefs there, crushing the event, with total passion and excellence, moving on to the next event, crushing it with passion and excellence. It's all of those things, guys. But at the very base, man, it's passion. So,
and that passion, it reflects in your cooking.
Thanks,
Every
man.
bite that I take, I'm like, wow, like I have not experienced food that was prepared with such passion and,
attention
emotion.
and love and emotion. Do you remember when I did that espresso cacio e pepe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To be able to, who does that? And people ask me all the time, wow, I've never heard of smoked espresso cacio e pepe. When did you think of that?
Yeah.
Well, Jared Lucas, a.k.a. Cap Slap, I was getting ready to do my second Oscars private dining experience. Mike Gazzo and Jared and all these great guys from Hollywood I told them, I said, hey, I want to make a special dish. What would you like me to make for you? And he said, can you do cacio e pepe? I said, sure I can. And so when I hung up the phone, I went and I looked up YouTube, and I was like, what the hell is cacio e pepe? So I watched the way Michelin star rated chefs from Italy and America and other places in the world prepared it. And I got back in touch, and I said, you know what, dude, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it with a coffee chef flair. I said, so I'm not just doing cacio e pepe. I'm going to do a smoked espresso cacio e pepe. That way you got the coffee chef flair. And I worked at it, man. It was, and then that night when I performed at that dinner, minds were bent. And they just were like, Chef, how did you do this? My honest to God answer is, I don't know. My faith is a huge part of who I am. I pray, in every kitchen I'm at, I'm like, God, bless my hands and my imagination so that I can bend these people's minds. And I think that if there was an ingredient or a part of who I am as a man, that's got to be out there. And honestly, I don't give a merry damn if that offends people that I believe in God. I think it would be a shame to not. And I think the difference is I'm real. I keep it real. I'm not out there. I'm not there to preach at people. I'm there to be who I am.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think that any veteran, any first responder out there that's ever laid their life on the line, they get it.
Yeah.
When they say there's no atheists in foxholes, dude, the first time a bullet grazes the tip of your ear, you can better believe in that moment you're praying, God, keep me alive.
Yeah. Wow. So
we got a visitor at the door with some coffee.
Yes.
So here's the
We
real
have been
rock star
blessed.
of the hour. My wife has put together a beautiful French press. This coffee is independently graded 5 stars, and it's been awarded 100 points.
Wow. There's some other guests also.
That's my security detail.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, explain what it means that this coffee is 100 point. So you say it was ranked with 100 points. So for someone that doesn't understand the ranking system or what exactly that means, because that's really rare and really special.
It really is. And unfortunately, I have a lot of colleagues that will try to say that there is no 100-point coffee. I'm like, use your good eyes. This right here, this is a 100-point coffee.
Yeah.
For somebody to say that there is no 100-point coffee would be to say that, well, there is no luxury automobile.
Want me to hold this for you?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. It's my favorite part right here, the press.
You guys remember that, man.
Oh, yeah. We'll refer to a link in the bio from the coffee video we made in New York last year.
Yeah, it's
in Howard Beach.
What a tour, man. Wasn't that rad?
That was rad.
And so for people that want to try to deny and say, well, there's no such thing as a 100-point coffee, I will say this. There are chefs, there are sommeliers, and there are coffee connoisseurs around this world that would beg to differ. This coffee is a coffee that people that don't even like coffee, when they taste this, they fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And I've had people say, hey, after I tried yours, I was so excited about having my first real great coffee experience. I went out and I got, I'm not going to pick on any brands tonight, but I went and tried this, and it made me not like coffee again. But yours inspires me to drink coffee.
Yeah.
We've had gastroenterologists, patients, cancer, other throat types of patients, and they're able to drink this coffee because it's so smooth, it doesn't affect them negatively.
Wow.
It is just it's a beautiful coffee experience, and that's what it's all about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember last time we were with you in New York, I consider myself a pretty seasoned coffee connoisseur, but I realized how much I didn't know when I met you, because at that time I was still making it in a machine. I didn't own a French press. I didn't grind up my beans, all that stuff. So you were the one that pushed me over the edge.
I love that, man. Thank you for that compliment. We'll start with you.
Pass this down to Truman.
And
Great.
for those that are listening or watching tonight, what we're preparing is, this is our Oscar. I wanted to create a coffee that we could kind of play with the media.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I got invited down to do an event surrounding the Oscars. And so this is exceptionally rare. At the base is our private estate Costa Rican. This is at retail roughly $2,400 a pound.
Wow.
And for the remainder of this season, we're only able to turn out approximately 11 to 11 and a half more pounds.
Wow.
So this is for Dylan.
Okay.
So how many?
Yep.
How much?
Absolutely.
How much
Shout out
coffee does
Dylan.
it take for like a pot this size?
So the pretty standard rule of thumb is you want to do a tablespoon per cup.
Okay.
You know, and this is regarded as a 12 cup. So you're looking at 12 tablespoons on average. Honestly, coffee is so subjective. There are people that would say, "Oh, that's way too much." Hey, good on you. If you feel like 10 tablespoons yields that perfect cup for you, go with it. For me as a chef, especially in the evening when we do a special dark coffee like this, this is actually 14 tablespoons. Wow. And so it's going to be thicker. It's going to have a bigger mouthfeel. It's going to be richer. I would say even more extravagant on the palate.
Wow.
And yet zero. When people think of acidity, there's two ways to look at it. One is the brightness of the flavor. The other is how it affects your tummy. And from that perspective, there's zero effect. So, hey guys, cheers.
Cheers,
chef.
To the greatest film crew I've ever had the honor of working with.
And the greatest chef
Dylan,
we've ever had the honor of
Thank
working
you.
with.
Oh man, dude, I don't ever get tired of this. You know that?
Man,
Wow.
that's great.
Thank you, man.
Wouldn't want to taint it with any cream or anything.
Oh, I say bring on the
Or
cream.
heavy cream, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And thanks for remembering that. And the reason is, just in case we have a listener or somebody wondering, when you introduce real cream, or really any dairy, there are a lot of people that, even if let's say you're dairy intolerant,
Yeah.
they use coconut milk is amazing. But what happens when you introduce dairy, it accentuates the nuances. So in this case, because we're dealing with the Costa Rican at the base, you're going to have really beautiful notes of dark chocolate, vibrant summer berries, some grass, floral, and on the finish, it is an unequivocal caramel that's on the palate. So it's truly remarkable.
Yeah. I know one of the things that I've noticed when I started stepping up my coffee game and using good beans is that it left a really good aftertaste on my tongue.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like I had just McDonald's coffee and you have that weird
Aftertaste.
bad breath and
Yeah.
stuff. But this has a very subtle taste to it.
Thank you. And there's no negative effect. You don't get coffee breath. It's just a really enjoyable, pleasant cup of coffee from sip to finish. And then even an hour later, you still have lingering effect of those really beautiful nuances.
So I'd love to talk about, how you became the coffee chef.
Yeah.
Back when you were, in Seattle and,
Single dad raising 3 boys.
Wow, that's impressive. So what were you doing out there? What were some of the people you're working with?
So I got my start in coffee because the housing market was in a very definite decline. So when you look at the United States in the periods of 2004 to 2005, we knew we were heading for a housing market crash. And so all my forecasting showed that. I started thinking, hey, I'm a furniture broker. I used to kid around. I said maybe part of the journey is you got to be broke in order to get started. But I was a single dad. I had 3 beautiful kids, all boys. And I told those guys, I said, hey, we're going to make it big one day, guys. You're going to watch your daddy take a dream and faith, and we're going to rock Seattle. And then I stopped myself and I thought, no, we're going to rock the world.
Boom.
You know, and my oldest looked at me and said, man, if anybody can do it, Papa, it's you. And we joined hands, man. We were like the four musketeers. And I started thinking, guys, I want a product that's going to sell every day, not every couple or a few years. And I said, what is it that the American population is passionate about that I'm also passionate about? The only thing that really came to me and that made great sense was I love good coffee. And back then, for some of you may remember Millstone. And Millstone had a coffee called Fog Lifter. And I loved it. And then when I moved into Seattle, I started getting exposed to other brands, you know, and I just started learning what I liked and didn't. Well, fast forward, I began pushing the envelope with my own team. And is this the best that we can do? Is this the best? You know, is that the very best quality? And all of a sudden I began understanding how vast the difference in quality coffee was. And I said, look, if I'm going to put my name on something, it had better be the best in the world. And guys, that's it, man. So fast forward, that's 2000, between 2004 and 5, I started doing my own importing. In 2009, I get a phone call from Christy Grady at Seattle Seahawks, Sounders FC. And she said, we have heard amazing things about you, your boys, and this coffee. Would you like to be the official coffee of Seattle Seahawks, Sounders FC? I was like, well, give me a minute to think. Hell yes, I want to do that. Sign me up.
Yeah.
And so, guys, we went on this journey where we began going head-to-head against all the major brands in Seattle. And one by one, we won. There was just no way to compare the aroma, the taste, the finish. And so, circling back around, you know, what constitutes a luxury coffee? There are a lot of guys out there that purport to be a luxury brand. Guys, the reality is, just because you slap a bumper sticker on your car that says Rolls Royce doesn't make it a Rolls Royce. This is the real deal, man. And I'm sitting in a conference room with the greatest marketing minds in sports history. And it was just undeniable. They said, wow, we have never, ever tasted coffee like this.
Wow.
And so that's it, man. And then it came down to us and Top Pot Donuts. You know, man, in Seattle, you're not going to find a better donut than Top Pot. But, you know, we, in terms of taste, in terms of the appearance, in terms of every possible way to gauge a great coffee, we were it. And so, but they had to go with a partner that had multiple locations, and that was not us. We were 100% e-com. And so because of that reason, they gave the official partnership to Top Pot. And that was a pretty hard punch to the gut for us.
Right.
To go that distance and then to lose because we didn't have, you know, retail locations. But I also understand that that's great business sense. It's logical. And so I wish Top Pot well. And then they said, look, we want to do something that we've never done before. Because we love you and your kids and your team, we believe in you, we believe in your coffee, we want to offer you a marketing partnership. And so they allowed us to purchase all the digital assets, you know, the ability to have our season tickets. We got to go on the field with the players. We got to engage our fans. And it was a phenomenal opportunity.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it was during that period that I had the opportunity to, I'll just say, cook for some people. Of great influence. And one day I did a French press. It was about a $500 a pound coffee. I put it together in a saute pan. And
was that creativity?
Yeah, it was definitely in the moment. And I created a coffee reduction sauce, if you will. And I will just say, guys, that they all but licked their plates, and they dubbed me the coffee chef. And I've been the coffee chef for all these many years now, and it's a joy, and it's a real privilege.
So that's how you became the coffee chef. How did you become just a chef? How did you get into becoming a chef from the very beginning?
Yeah, so my culinary journey begins at the age of 5. I'll never forget the day my mom had made pork chops, mashed potatoes with corn. And I'm going to tell you right now, people may have high regard for me, but there are two women that are greatly responsible for me and my success. One is my mom, and the other is my grandmother. And this particular night, Mama made pork chops, mashed potatoes, and corn. And I don't know why. It was one of those rare times, but it was before bed, and I was hungry still. And I said, Mama, I said, can I have that leftover corn? And she said, sure, I don't care. And she went off, and she was doing what she was doing. Well, all I knew at that point in time was whenever she wanted to warm something up, she'd just turn the burner on, and she'd put the, pot up there, and she would, it would warm up, and she'd serve us. So I took the yellow plastic bowl from the refrigerator. I put it up on that burner, and I looked at the burner, and I was like, well, there's high, low, there's medium. Let's go with high. High is the best. Yeah. Man, that burner started glowing red. It's an electric stove, and black smoke, flames are shooting out, and I'm running down the hallway. I was like, the kitchen's on fire.
Oh my goodness.
And so, guys, that was my foray. Thankfully, I've learned a few things since then, and I don't catch plastic bowls on fire anymore, not accidentally anyway.
I remember when you told this story to us before, you mentioned how your mom kind of just cleaned it up as if nothing happened. And I think that's a very important thing to touch on because I feel like I don't have kids, but I feel like as a parent, you need to cultivate your kids' talents.
Oh, yeah.
And because there could have been other kids that have had a similar situation like you, but their parents blew up at them and
I will tell you
shut
that,
it down.
I think like any parent, and my mom was a single mom, there's just no perfect parent on earth. Your kids can make you react in ways that you wouldn't normally, react. I never wondered in my entire life, am I loved? Am I cared about? My mama got angry with me and my sister like any parent gets angry with their kids. But people confuse anger with lack of love.
Yep.
And I was personally shocked. I'll never forget how I felt emotionally. I thought, man, this is it. She's going to scream at me. Mm-hmm. And instead, she said, you know what? I should have been here with you. And she just went to work, man. She cleaned up, and I honestly was stunned. Mm-hmm. And she just began investing in me, and she explained to me, it was, I think, maybe 3 days later, I said, Mom, I see these cookbooks, but I don't ever see you open that cookbook. I don't ever see you following a recipe. Why is that? Bam! That was my introduction to the kitchen, really. She opened up the spice cabinet, and she said, look, this is the kind of cook I am, and this is how your grandma is. We'll look at that, and we'll say, I want to add a little bit of this, or I want to add a little bit of that. And, what we would call a pinch cook. And I'm proud to be that person because my grandma and my mom taught me how to taste food and to really gauge how to gauge what that food is going to taste like and what experience that's going to deliver. That's my baseline. Mm-hmm. My mom actually asked me, I was on my way home from the Academy Awards. It was my first tour. She said, Bryan-David, you on TV and film and all these things, you talk about your grandma and I inspiring you to do that. She said, but we never taught you how to do flambés and all this magnificent work. I said, Mommy, yes, you did. I said, you may not have ever done that, but you were my inspiration. Mm-hmm. They gave me a base to work from. So when you talk about other parents, any of you that are parents out there, you know that it is the hardest damn thing in the world. But the one thing that I knew and the one thing that I have mastered myself as a dad is how to love my kids. And in my book, my mom and my grandmother mastered love. And so today in my family, we have a mantra. It's let love lead. When you let love lead, you cannot fail. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a message I have for everybody is you are loved. Know that with confidence. And if you don't have anybody else in your life, you've got me. And I'll tell you right now that if you can dream it, you can do it. And you don't ever let anybody tell you differently.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%. It's powerful.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's what I believe. It's the way I live every day, man.
Yeah. So I'd love to dive into the night that you catered the Academy Awards. Hear a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah.
And the process of like going through that experience, because that's
Sure.
amazing.
Yeah, and so one thing the Academy has asked me to do, particularly when I'm doing interviews like this, people need to understand that are not in the entertainment arena. You have events that surround these major, like world-class events, such as the Oscars, aka Academy Awards. They've asked me to please be sensitive because you have sanctioned events, which means the Oscars, as the Academy, will bring you in. And that honor belongs exclusively to Wolfgang Puck and his culinary team. He's done it for, I honestly don't know how many years. And that guy is amazing, and I look forward to the honor of one day working directly with him and his team. But I just want to kind of get the record straight.
Definitely.
That the events that I've been invited to be a part of, they still are very much tied to the Oscars, but these are from celebrities that are with the Oscars or have been Academy Award nominated, and I'm in their homes, or I'm in a private event space that they're purchasing for like 10 hours, and I
Yeah.
get to be a part of that. So just so that everybody's clear on what we're talking
Definitely.
about. I will say to the Academy, thank you for the honor. What a huge honor to be even associated with them.
Yeah.
It's been huge for me in my career. So you asked me what it was like, and I can tell you, it reminded me of my very first boxing match. I can remember coming out of the locker room. I could hear the sound of the crowd. I could see off in the distance, underneath the light, was that boxing ring. And I can remember saying to myself out loud, there's two men going in that ring. One's coming out a winner, one's coming out the loser, and I'm not going to be anything other than the winner in this fight. And when I went into that performance knowing that I had to be the very best in the world, and that this is my first time on the world stage, and I'm going to rock this.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said a little while ago about my faith, I simply whispered a prayer, God be with me. I ask you to touch my hands and my imagination, and I want to create food that will bend these people's minds. I want the people in the press to be so blown away that they can't stop talking about this dinner. I want the celebrities to be so blown away that they couldn't think of having any other chef in their kitchen but me. And I just began by going into that kitchen and taking a deep breath like I do every day. And I just began going into a rhythm. Here's my amuse-bouche. Bam, crushed it. People were just, when all you can hear are sounds, you did it right.
Yeah.
And then we went into the appetizer, and again, I knew we did it right. And then when we started laying out that main course, imported Japanese akaushi, so tender that you can cut it with a spoon, a teaspoon.
Wow.
The sense of honor, I cannot in human terms articulate the awesomeness. So to sum it up, I had butterflies, but it was more like, I remember what it was like Christmas Eve. You couldn't sleep because Christmas was right around the corner, and that's what it was like. It was just total awe.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. Okay, so, we're running out of time, but before we wrap this up, I want to touch on something that you mentioned a little bit earlier
Okay.
about going into the boxing ring. So,
Okay.
Celebrity chef Bryan-David Scott. People don't think about, celebrity boxer Bryan-David Scott. So how did you get into the world of boxing, and how old were you when that started?
I remember very clearly the day I got invited to join the Fremont boxing team. We had a new kid in school. His name was Ron Leopold. Ron, if you're out there, I want to say thank you because you put in motion events that forever changed my life. I didn't like Ron because he was the new kid, and he was quiet, and he dressed nice, and everything about him was like in place. And I confronted him one day. School was out, kids were on their way, and I decided to confront him. And I went to go grabbed him by his shirt, and I swear to God, I couldn't see anything. I was immediately on my ass looking up. And he leaned over and he said, "Don't ever put your hands on me again." And I was amazed, and my pride was crushed, man. That sucks when you lose that bad that fast. And so I went out to the edge of the playground. Well, there were these two brothers and the sister, the Tysons, and there was Eddie, there was Larry, and there was Julie Tyson. All three of them could fight. Man, we loved to all get together. We would just scrap on the playground with all these other kids. And they said, "Hey, you would be amazing on the boxing team." And I thought, boxing? That boxing, street fighting, boxing, the two are so different. But I thought, why not? So they said, "Well, we're heading over to the gym. Why don't you come meet our coach, Keith?" And so I went. And, the coach said, "Well, let's get some gloves on you. Let's see what you can do." And I wrecked that kid that got on the mats with me. And Coach Keith said, "Yeah, I want you on the team." And, guys, the long and the short of it is, as a boxer, I had the privilege of every fight I got into, with the exception of one guy, and his name was Willis, and he was a kid on the Oakland boxing team. When I walked in that night to match up, this guy had rabbit's feet hanging around his boxer boots, and he was, doing shadow boxing. Everything about that kid screamed, "I'm a boxer."
Yeah.
And I'm like, his arms to me looked like they were maybe 6 feet long. And I was like, "Coach, he's got to reach on me." And he said, "It doesn't matter the size of the fighter. It matters the size of the fight and the man." And, great words.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to go against this guy. And he was like, "Well, he's in the same way." He says, "You're a great fighter. Go in there." I was like, "Yeah, I'm a great fighter. I can do this. I'm going to take him out. First round, second round, somewhere between there, I'm going to take him out." Guys, we touched gloves, and I hit him hard and fast, and he just grinned. And all of a sudden, all I can hear was thump, 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 bam, and I was on my ass.
Wow.
I got up, and he smiled at me. I touched gloves. Again, it was like thump, 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 bam. He did that to me 3 times, and my coach said, "Yeah, you're not going to match with this kid."
Oh, man.
So, lost that one, and we went against San Jose that same year, and we went into Hayward. Hayward, we just weren't a good match with those guys. And then kind of fast-forwarding through the years, I ended up leaving home when I was 16, got into college when I was 17 in Kansas City, Missouri.
Wow.
Joined Kansas City Boxing Club, and at that point, I was apprenticing with Frank Baruch at Le Petit Cafe in Westport, which is Midtown Kansas City, Missouri. And that's when Chef Douglas Beers started mentoring me. Guys, long and the short of it is I got into the ring with a teammate of mine. And I say ring, it was technically Matt's. He was a heavyweight. At this point, I'm welterweight. And but my philosophy was, if I don't ever fight guys that are bigger and greater than I am, I'm never going to be the best that I can be.
Right. Yeah.
And so he said, "Yeah, let's do it. I'll get in the ring. I'll spar with you." I said, "I don't want to spar. I want a full-on brawl. I want you to hit me as hard as you can. I'm going to hit you as hard as I can." And so we got in the ring and we touched gloves. I popped him a couple of really good ones. I miscalculated. I thought he was coming at me with a right cross. And so as I leaned down, I was going to counter. Instead, what happened is he came at me with a straight right to the forehead. I physically felt my brain push against the back of my head. And all of a sudden, my legs buckled, and I realized I'm going down. As I was on my way to the ground, everything went into like a gray form. And that was it. Lights went out. And I can remember screaming that I'm blind. And my coach came over, wrapped his arms around me, and pulled me against his chest, and he said, "You're going to be okay, kid." And what felt like an eternity was only about 22 seconds, they estimate. But at the hospital, they said, "Look, you don't have any bleeds. We don't have any medical reason to tell you not to box again. But my advice is, if you get in the ring, you might go permanently blind, or worse, you might die." And so that was it, man. But when I got out of the ring, guys, I was 42-2, And anybody that's ever fought me will tell you that they've never had a greater ass whipping in their life, and they never would. But what I would say is my approach to life, guys, is that way. In every fight, I wanted to put my hands down because it's exhausting to be a boxer. And in every single fight, you want to lower your hands, even if only for a few seconds. But it's during that point that you become greatly determined. You make every punch count. You swing fast. You swing hard. And you don't take a shotgun approach. You tell yourself, I'm going to land that right on that jaw or those ribs, or I'm going to hit him straight in the chest. And you come right at him. Yeah. And because of that attitude and that approach to life, I am the coffee chef. I am Bryan-David Scott. I built a great life. I am greatly respected around the world. And it's because that is my approach. I only want to be the very best. And my approach is also, anybody wants to get in the ring with me still, I'm down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. I was going to ask, how has boxing changed the way that you approach life, and even being a chef? Are those things related at all? Like, have you learned things?
I believe very much so, because when you're training as a boxer, you're gonna feel pain. You're gonna feel pain in the conditioning. Your mind tells you, I can run 10 miles, and you might be coming up on that 9.5 mile mark, and your body is screaming to stop. But when you've been a champion and you've won those medals and those accolades, there's a spirit that is inside of you as a champion that you can feel well up inside of you. And you say, I'm not stopping. And your body is screaming against you. But that spirit of the champion inside of you is telling your body, you will submit. I will not allow you to tell me what to do. And you push hard. And you're like, I almost slipped and said, something, the F word, but, you just kind of say, forget this. I'm going to tell my body what to do. And in that moment, you go into overdrive. And you push your body until the point, hey, I'll admit, man, I've thrown up out as I've been on a run. When I pushed my body to the limits. And so, as a chef, I wake up every day, guys, making sure that I have the very best coffee in the world, making sure that I have the very best produce in the world. You guys tonight had Aoki, straight from the coast of Hawaii, brought to us by Santa Monica Seafood. Why? Because I told them, don't even think about bringing anything but the very best, because my guests deserve that. And they said, Chef, we wouldn't have it any other way. Mm-hmm. You talk to Carlos, one of my, my produce suppliers. Carlos will tell you meeting me was intense, because I told him I don't want anything unless it's the very best. I would rather not offer something than offer something that's mediocre. So how has boxing helped translate into my professional life as a chef, as a luxury coffee specialist, and as a dad and a husband? It's easy. It's that spirit of a champion that wells up inside of me every single day that says, I'm going to get up. Whether my body wants to or not, I get up and I get my uniform on, I put my shoes on, I grab my knives, and I go rock the day with the intent on winning and winning big.
I feel like even the humility aspect of boxing, getting knocked out, kind of plays into what it was like when you're an apprentice to another chef.
Yeah.
Having the humility to listen to what they're trying to teach you.
Look, man, anybody that has been a chef for any tenure, you do this because you're passionate. You do this because you love bringing people together and celebrating the very best moments of those people's lives. What an honor to be the chef chosen to prepare a beautiful dinner as this guy is going to propose to his girl. Or one of the greatest honors I've ever had is being told by a Navy guy, my wife, my kids thought I was coming home 3.5 weeks from now, but I'm home early and I would love to be able to give them an experience. And have his wife think that she's just going to have dinner made by me and it's going to be all by camera. And then he shows up and he says, I'm home. And to watch those little kids' faces, man, what an honor, dude. It
makes it all worth it.
it makes it worth it. And that's for all of you guys out there that are watching and you're a beginner chef, man, stick with it. Let that passion well inside of you. Let that art that you create on that plate, let that be what separates you from everybody else. Don't ever compromise. Just live with passion, man. Like I said a little while ago, let love lead, because you can't fail.
And, that's amazing advice that is applicable to photographers, designers, videographers, artists, musicians. Whatever your piece of art is, go into it with passion, with love, and, that will show in the results.
It reminds me, I know we got to get wrapped up here, but I just wanted to say a very special shout out to the kids up in Saskatchewan. When I was on tour up there, we had a girl, 7th grader, was told that she would never be a writer. She wouldn't amount to anything, that she was only going to be around the farm. And I can remember telling her that I didn't receive that. I said, "You are a writer." I said, "Do you write?" And she said, "Oh, yes, sir. I've written books of poetry and song." And I just said, "Then you are a writer. You're not just aspiring." I said, "You can go to college, but the college doesn't teach you how to be a writer. All a college really does is help you fine-hone those skills and help you reach out and become greater than you are." But I looked at this whole auditorium of kids across Canada, and I just listening to their stories, and I just told them, and this is where my foundational message for my life came out: if you can dream it, you can do it. Don't let anybody else try to tell you differently. Don't let circumstances stop you. Man, I was born with my back against the wall. I fought, I got out, I made it. You can too. Don't let people stop you. Don't let circumstances stop you. You've got to rise up, and you've got to take your place in this world. You don't ever let anything stop you, man. Have I ever been knocked to the mat? Oh, absolutely. Did I get back up and go out there and administer an ass whipping and take the title? Yes. But it didn't mean, guys, that in those fights I didn't get knocked down. I've been knocked down on the mat many, many times. The difference between winners and losers is this: when the times of life are coming against you hard and you're feeling the pressure and the pain, you determine, I'm going to come through this. Go ahead, life. Hit me. Knock me down. But I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep throwing down. You can't stop a determined person.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's powerful. And, that goes with, one of my favorite quotes is, some of you guys know.
I think we've been mentioning it in every episode.
Probably been mentioned in every episode, but I think it's like that powerful. And it comes from Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, in his book Shoe Dog. And he says, the one piece of advice that anybody should give, the most important piece of advice, and this is coming from the founder of Nike, is, don't stop. Whatever happens, whatever life comes at you with, and this isn't the exact quote, I'm paraphrasing.
Cool.
But it's don't stop.
Don't stop.
And, that's one of the most powerful lessons. And I wrote that message on my mirror, so I read it every single day.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not stopping.
That's right.
You're not stopping.
That's right.
And, I think that's why we get along so well. We're on the same page here.
Yeah.
Guys, there's no doubt. And as I mentioned a little while ago, I just want to say thank you guys, all three of you, Dylan, Truman, Mike, for what you guys do. I want to say to every one of my brands who I have the honor of serving as your celebrity chef ambassador, KitchenAid Commercial, Lodge Cast Iron, Wholesome Sweet, Soto Sake. I just want to tell you guys that this is my film crew. I'm proud of these guys. These guys were told by the world, you're too young, you can't, you don't have this equipment. But you guys knew inside of you that you had what it took. And you guys said, you know what, I'm not going to listen to those negative voices. I know who I am as an artist. I know I'm a great writer. I know I'm a great producer and director. I know how to tell a story and convey it in such a manner that we drive that point home. And I'm proud that you guys are my film crew. I'm proud that you guys are my friends.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, man, to all my brands, these guys are coming at you, and you're not going to find a better film crew.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Well, thank you again for being on the podcast.
My pleasure, guys.
Immense value has been dropped for the audience. I feel motivated. I feel fired up. I feel ready to come at the world like a boxer and summon that champion spirit.
I love it, man.
So
let it rise up, guys.
Definitely.
Let love lead, and let that spirit of the champion inside of you, let it lead. Let it rise you up.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, where can everyone find you? On Instagram, website, anything like that?
I got to ask that, guys. Yeah, I'm happy to share my website, but I will say this. Thankfully, I'm just known enough. Just Google my name, Bryan
go.
with a Y, Bryan-David Scott. And then for all of you that want to make it easier on yourselves, go to Bryan-David-Scott.com. And, yeah, I would love to hear from you. Something that I do get asked a lot is it somebody else on my team that responds? Absolutely not. I respond 100% of the time by, like, it's me.
Yeah.
You'll not hear from my publicist. You won't hear from my business manager. You hear directly from me, and I think it's important because people need to know that I'm accessible. If you call my phone, I'm answering it. If you send me an email, I'm responding. So, yeah, so BryanDavidScott.com is my website, and call me, email me, text me. I will respond to you, I promise.
Amazing. Well, you guys heard it here first. Go check out Chef Bryan-David Scott, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, guys, for having me. This is really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.